Welcome to the course. It's the English course that finally makes sense for how you live, how you work, how you speak in the real world, because we don't use outdated textbooks, not the textbooks from 2005 that went out with the dinosaurs. We don't use fake dialogues, just real English, the kind that you actually use, the kind that I use at work, on calls, in conversations that matter, in conversations with friends. Now, here's what you are not going to do in this course. You are not going to memorize long lists of vocabulary that you'll never use. You're not going to overthink grammar. Grammar is so 2005. You're not going to pretend that we live in a world where everyone speaks like a textbook. Nope, not here, not in this course. So if you want textbooks, if you want boring grammar, well, this is not the course for you. But here's what we will be doing. We'll be talking about real topics. Topics from 2025, not the horse and cart. EVs, electric vehicles. We'll talk about meetings, work, stress, travel. You're going to learn how to sound natural with idioms, with phrasal verbs. Maybe some binomials thrown in. And if you join our business English course, well, you learn business English buzzwords. But above all, you're going to practice actual fluency, not perfection. Fluency before perfection. You're going to build your confidence one conversation at a time. This course is not for everyone. Some people may hate the idea of it. Some people may really just want textbooks, but this course is for you. If you've taken English courses before and thought, oh, nobody actually talks like this, or if you want to feel more confident, spontaneous, real, natural when you speak, if you want the freedom to express your thoughts, real thoughts, the way you would in your native language, with style, with rhythm, with the right words, with idiomatic language, well, then this is the course for you. Each lesson is sharp. It's short. It's designed to get you speaking fast. There are PDFs for every lesson. So if you want to do extra exercises, fantastic. You have access to them. But the focus is fluency. And the theme, it's 2025 in the real world. This is just the first course. There are 6 units. There will be more courses coming up. So if you want to be alerted, just head on over to our website, lingonas.com, sign up for our free weekly English booster, which is packed with, obviously, English boosters, as well as any upcoming course launches. And you get coupons. Some of them are free. We've got a business English one coming up as well. We're definitely going to do more of these because you know what? They work. I've been doing this for 13 years. I've done about 1,000 group classes. So I know what works and I know what doesn't. And the reason I know that my method works is because my students return week after week after week, and they've been doing it for 2 years. They are not bored. They are progressing. Now, what else will we do in this course? We'll shadow real-world phrases. You will tell real stories, and for those of you who are taking the IELTS speaking test, we're going to dive into speaking questions. And if you're thinking, oh no, I'm not going to do IELTS, so this is not the course for me, well, hang on there. IELTS speaking topics are real-world topics. It's an informal speaking. It's what native English speakers like myself talk about all the time. So actually, yeah, you need this. You're going to benefit from this. And something else you're going to learn is really smart vocabulary. Maybe some trendy vocabulary, the vocabulary that actually fits how people talk, how people speak in 2025. So stay with me. Stay with me for the entire course. Show up, speak up, comment, let me know how it's going, but stay until the end, finish strong. because you're not here just to study. You are here to bridge the gap between I understand textbook English, I understand what my grammar teacher taught me, and you're going to bridge the gap to I own my English. And if you love what I'm doing here, well, like I said, keep an eye out for the next course and the next one and the next one, because we're taking the same energy into business English soon, and you are going to love it. But for now, let's get into it because you are in the right place. It's time to bridge the gap. Hey there, and welcome to Unit 1 of Master B2 English Fluency. I'm excited, are you? I'm really so glad to have you here because today we're diving into one of the most exciting and controversial topics of our time, artificial intelligence. That's what this course is all about. We're not talking about things from an antiquated, archaic textbook from 2005. We're talking about the real world and artificial intelligence. From the apps on your phone to the emails that you send, AI is everywhere. But is it helping us live better lives, or are we slowly giving up too much control? In this lesson, you'll read and listen to a blog-style article about AI in daily life. You will learn 2 powerful idioms, 2 phrasal verbs you can actually use in the real world. You will answer a real IELTS-style speaking question. And the bonus is you're going to get a fluent, natural model answer. You're going to practice your pronunciation, your rhythm, your tone with shadowing sentences. And finally, you're going to boost your confidence by discussing this topic in a real human way. This is not textbook English. This is English you can use today. So grab your notes, download the PDF, get your pen and pencil ready, get your voice ready, and let's bridge the gap to fluency in Lesson 1. If you're ready, let's go. Okay, it's time to get serious. So I have got my glasses on. Let's do this. Lesson plan 1, video 1, and our theme is AI in daily life. We're going to focus on opinions, agreement, disagreement, and a very natural tone. Is AI taking over our lives? We're going to do a blog reading, student reading, it's a listening text, AI everywhere, helpful or too much. Let's approach it in this way. I'm going to read, and you are going to listen to the pronunciation, the tone, and the intonation. If you'd like, you can go back and you can shadow me. How does that sound? All right, so let's dive in. Artificial intelligence, or AI, used to be something we only saw in futuristic movies or imagined in far-off tech labs. Now, it's part of our everyday lives. Whether we're unlocking our phones with facial recognition, using Google Translate, or letting ChatGPT help us write an email, AI is everywhere, quietly working behind the scenes. For many people, this is exciting. AI helps us save time, stay organized, and even discover new music or movies that suit our tastes. It powers maps, smart assistants, language tools, and online shopping. In short, AI makes life easier, often without us even noticing. But not everyone is comfortable with how fast it's growing. Some worry we've become too dependent. If AI writes our messages, answers our questions, and even creates art, what's left for humans to do? One recent example sparked real debate. An AI-generated image won an international art competition, and the judges didn't even realize it wasn't made by a person. Some called it genius. Others saw it as a warning sign. Proof that we're heading into a future where machines may outshine human creativity. And that's just the beginning. AI is also being used to write news articles, generate code, grade essays, and even assist in medical diagnosis. Helpful? Absolutely. But what happens if it makes a mistake or if we stop questioning its answers? There's no doubt AI is changing how we live, work, and think. The big question is, are we still in control or are we handing over the wheel? We've built the technology, but now we need to ask, are we using AI to improve life or are we slowly letting it make decisions for us? Let's move on to our vocabulary. A double-edged sword. A double-edged sword is something that has both positive and negative effects. AI is a double-edged sword. It saves time, but it might reduce jobs. A double-edged sword, something that has both positive and negative effects. So one more time, AI is a double-edged sword. It saves time, but it might reduce jobs. That's the negative effect. That's the downside. Next up, open a can of worms. Open a can of worms means to start something complicated or problematic. Open a can of worms. Letting AI create deep fakes really opens a can of worms to start something complicated or problematic. Number 3 on the list, rely on something or rely on someone. Basically, it means to depend on. We rely on AI more than we think, even just for navigation, right? Rely on, depend on. And take over, to gain control or replace something, take over. So, AI might take over tasks we thought only humans could do. Take over, gain control, and take over something, gain control, replace something. Now, I want to talk about IELTS Speaking Part 2. Some of you who are here have signed up because of the IELTS Speaking Part 2s. So, let's look at a question that is related to the theme, which is AI. Describe a time when you used artificial intelligence, AI, for something important. You should say what the situation was, what kind of AI technology you used, why you chose to use it, and explain how you felt about the experience. Now, in speaking part 2, you do not have to answer all the prompts, but my advice is to use the prompts simply because they help you to create a clear, coherent, logical answer. And bottom line, you don't have to create your own prompts, right? You've got limited time, 1 minute, to just jot down your thoughts, your main vocabulary, idiomatic language. You don't want to waste it doing anything unnecessary. Why would you do something that's already done for you? That's my take on it. So let's look at a Band 8 style answer. And if you'd like, you can stop the video right now and you can create your answer. Just 1 minute. Okay, let's dive into our model answer, Band 8 style. A few months ago, I was applying for a new job and I had to write a cover letter that really stood out. I didn't want to just copy a template, but I wasn't sure how to phrase things professionally. That's when I decided to use an AI writing assistant, specifically ChatGPT. I typed in some details about my experience and the job description, and the AI helped me structure the letter in a way that sounded natural and formal. It gave me suggestions for better vocabulary and tone, which I thought was really impressive. I didn't just copy and paste what it gave me, of course. I edited it to make it more personal, but it definitely gave me a starting point. I chose to use it because I was short on time and needed something that sounded polished. Honestly, I was a bit skeptical at first, but the result really surprised me. The letter helped me land an interview, so I'd say it worked. Overall, I felt the experience was both helpful and a little strange. Helpful because it saved time and boosted my confidence, but strange because it made me wonder, if AI can write like this now, what will it be able to do in 5 years? Would you like to dive into a part 3 question? They're always slightly tricky. Let's do it. Do you think the use of artificial intelligence in everyday life has more benefits or drawbacks? Honestly, I think it depends on how we use it. AI clearly has a lot of benefits. It saves time, helps businesses, and makes life more convenient. But at the same time, I worry that if we rely on it too much, we might stop thinking critically or lose certain skills. For example, people already use AI to write emails or even essays. That could open a can of worms, especially in education. So I'd say AI is a double-edged sword. Useful, but we need to be careful not to let it take over too much. Now, if you would like to join the conversation, please feel free. Go ahead and comment. Have you used any AI tools recently? What tasks should never be done by AI in your opinion? Do you trust AI to give you important advice, example, financial or medical advice? Can AI improve education or does it make students lazy? Now, I'd like to wrap this up with a little bit of shadowing. These are your shadowing sentences. We're going to use them for pronunciation, for rhythm and tone practice. So I want you to repeat with feeling, with emotion. Ready? Okay. AI is a double-edged sword. It helps, but it can hurt too. AI is a double-edged sword. It helps, but it can hurt too. We rely on it more than we realize, even just asking Google for help. We rely on it more than we realize, even just asking Google for help. Letting AI take over everything might open a can of worms. Letting AI take over everything might open a can of worms. Is it making life easier or just making us lazier? Is it making life easier or just making us lazier? Well done. You made it through Unit 1. We've got 5 more in store for you. And you've just tackled one of the most talked about topics in technology and in the real world, and you did it in fluent, natural English. By now, you should feel more confident. You are equipped, you are able to talk about AI with confidence. Like I've said before, this isn't a topic that you find in a textbook. You should feel more confident talking about AI, expressing your opinions, using idioms like a double-edged sword and a can of worms. You should feel confident applying phrasal verbs like rely on and take over in context. You're not going to mess this up. We've done lots and lots of practice. But most importantly, you practice speaking, even if it was just to yourself in a mirror, about real issues in a real way, and that's what Fluency is all about. Now, this course is not standalone. We do offer group classes, so DM me about that. Now, in the next unit, we're shifting gears. We're talking about something more personal. The moment you decide to walk away from something. So if you've ever quit a job, ended a project, made a tough decision, ended a relationship, well, Unit 2 is for you. But until then, keep practicing, keep speaking, keep bridging the gap. You can also just listen to the audio while you are commuting to work. The more times you listen to it, the more entrenched it's going to be. It's going to become a part of your DNA. So I will see you in the next lesson, right? Okay, let's do this. Welcome to Unit 2, Quitting or Moving On. Why I quit and you might too. Knowing it's time to move on. In this unit, we're going to focus on emotional tone, storytelling, reflective speaking, real-life transitions. Some of the skills that we'll cover are reading, listening, vocabulary, fluency, IELTS style speaking, shadowing, and pronunciation. We'll start with the block style article, and I invite you to shadow me. So I'm going to read, pause, and allow you to repeat each sentence. Focus on pronunciation, tone, intonation. If that's too much for you all at once, then rewind the video and the second time focus on the tone and intonation. The first time, just pay attention to pronunciation. Hope that works for you. Let's dive in. Why I quit and you might too. People often say don't quit. We taught to push through, keep going, and finish what we start. But sometimes quitting is exactly the right thing to do. A few years ago, I left a job that I worked hard to get. On paper, it looked perfect. Good salary, great benefits, and an impressive title. But the reality was different. I was constantly stressed, working long hours, and starting to feel like I was losing myself. I kept trying to stick it out, telling myself I just needed to push through. But deep down, I knew it wasn't right. Eventually, I made the decision to leave. I had second thoughts, of course. Quitting something you've invested in isn't easy. But the moment I walked away, I felt a huge sense of relief. Now, I have a more balanced life and a career that actually excites me. I didn't give up. I called it a day because I had outgrown the situation. Sometimes, walking away takes more courage than staying. In life, we often face situations that no longer serve us. Knowing when to move on isn't failure, it's growth. So if you're stuck in something that doesn't feel right, ask yourself, is it time to let go? Let's dive into our vocabulary. 2 idioms, 2 phrasal verbs. Call it a day. This is an idiom that means to stop doing something, especially work. After 3 years in that job, I called it a day. You can also use this for your normal work day. Oh, it's 8 p.m. I'm calling it a day. I'm going to stop doing something. I'm going to stop working. Call it a day. At what time do you normally call it a day? 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. For us content creators, it could be 2 a.m. Let me know. Join the conversation. The next idiom is have second thoughts. And have second thoughts means to start doubting a decision. So you quit, but you have second thoughts. So I had second thoughts after I quit, but I didn't regret it. Have second thoughts. You start doubting a decision, have second thoughts. Stick it out is a phrasal verb, stick it out, which means to continue doing something difficult. He tried to stick it out, but the stress was too much. He tried to stick it out, but the stress was too much. Did you hear how I said stick it out? I did not say stick it out. Stick it out. Start speaking in phrases. Stick it out. To continue doing something difficult. He tried to stick it out, but the stress was too much. Perfect. Are you someone who sticks it out? Let me know. Walk away from. To walk away from is a phrasal verb that means to leave a situation or a commitment. That would mean a relationship, a marriage. Walk away from, to leave a situation or a commitment. She finally walked away from the job that drained her. She finally walked away from the job that drained her. For those of you who are doing IELTS speaking, here's a part 2 question that incorporates the theme of today's session. Describe a time when you decided to quit something. It could be a job, a hobby, a course. You should say what it was, why you started it, why you decided to quit, and how you felt afterwards. Now, these are prompts. You do not have to answer all the prompts, but honestly, why wouldn't you? The prompts are there to help you create a clear, coherent answer. If you're not using the prompts, well, then you're going to waste precious time creating your own prompts, and you don't get points for creating prompts. That 1 minute preparation time that you have is for writing down key vocabulary, idiomatic language, phrasal verbs, the things you want to use to wow the examiner. Now, take a moment, pause the video, write down your keywords, your vocabulary, that lexical resource that is going to give you a score of 8. A lot of it is already in that blog post. So go ahead, help yourself. And then we'll dive into the model answer. A few years ago, I was enrolled in a marketing course that I thought would help me get a better job. At first, I was excited and motivated. But after a few weeks, I started to feel overwhelmed. The lessons didn't match my learning style, and the course material felt outdated. I kept trying to stick it out, telling myself it would pay off eventually. But over time, I realized I was just stressed and uninspired. I decided to call it a day and leave the course. I definitely had second thoughts because I had already invested time and money. But once I walked away, I felt relieved and free to explore other options that suited me better. Looking back, it was the right decision. Now, if you are an IELTS test taker, these are some questions that you can try to answer on your own for part 3. Why do some people find it hard to quit something even when it's not right for them? Do you think quitting is viewed negatively in most cultures? How can knowing when to walk away be a strength, not a weakness? What's the difference between quitting and giving up too easily? In your opinion, is it better to stick with something or change direction? Now, even if you are not an IELTS test taker, please stay tuned for this part of every unit, because these are real-world situation questions, and these questions will help you to speak well in the real world. If you've practiced it here, you're going to be perfect in the real world. So please don't skip through this part. I really think it has value. Now it's time to do some shadowing. Just listen to me, tone, intonation, pronunciation, where I pause, and repeat. I tried to stick it out, but I was burnt out by the end. I tried to stick it out, but I was burnt out by the end. After weeks of thinking, I finally called it a day. After weeks of thinking, I finally called it a day. It wasn't easy to walk away, but it was the right move. It wasn't easy to walk away, but it was the right move. I definitely had second thoughts, but deep down, I knew. I definitely had second thoughts, but deep down, I knew. Sometimes quitting is exactly what you need to grow. Sometimes quitting is exactly what you need to grow. Have you downloaded the PDF? Well, there's a gap-fill activity to reinforce what we've learned today, as well as a multiple choice review. The answers are below. If you need any help, please feel free to reach out. And there is a little bonus assignment speaking task in this unit. Record a 1-minute audio or video. I don't think video is really necessary. Audio would be fine to answer this question. Describe a situation when you wanted to quit but didn't. Why? What made you stay? And do you think it was the right choice? Now, your challenge is to use one idiom and one phrasal verb from today's lesson. This is how you improve your speaking, your fluency. This is output. It's really important. So go ahead and challenge yourself. And when you're doing your recording, maybe listen back and focus on the tone, the rhythm, the emotional expression. It's more than just words. See you in Unit 3? Fantastic. Well, hey there. Are you ready for Unit 3? We're going to talk about travel, trouble, smart spending. So today's unit is about how a $16 snack turned into a $1,600 bill and what you can learn from it. We're going to look at a real-life travel situation, how you react to mistakes in the real world, some financial vocabulary, and expressing frustration because, hey, if you got a bill for $1,600 for a $16 snack, you're going to be frustrated, maybe more than just frustrated. So today's theme is travel, money, mistakes, and our reactions. We'll start with our blog reading. Pay attention to pronunciation, to tone and intonation. I'm going to read it slowly. I'm going to pause after each sentence, so you are welcome to shadow me and to repeat. Then we'll dive into the vocabulary and IELTS speaking questions. Now, please don't abandon the course at this point because you are not interested in IELTS speaking. IELTS speaking is just everyday speaking topics because the IELTS exam is an informal speaking test, which is really about everyday topics. So you can benefit from this. The model answers really portray the way native English speakers speak. My advice at this point, if you haven't already done it, is to download the PDF and follow along. You can make notes and you can highlight. There's also a gap fill, a multiple choice, just some extra activities at the end to reinforce what we're learning today. We're also going to do a shadowing segment where I really want you to channel the tone, the intonation, and the emotion. And is there anything else? There might be a task for you at the end. All right, so if you're ready, let's do this. We'll start with a blog post. You can rewind it and listen to it a second time if you need to. If you're ready, let's dive in. Travel fail. Tourists charged $1,600 for snacks in Mexico. When you travel abroad, it can be hard to understand local prices, especially when you're dealing with a different currency. One Dutch tourist in Mexico recently learned this the hard way. He was on holiday, enjoying the sun, when he bought 2 drinks and a bag of chips. The total should have been 310 pesos, about $16. But when he checked his receipt later, he realized something was very wrong. The machine had charged him 31,000 pesos, or around $1,600. The man says he noticed the high amount just before entering his PIN, but wasn't sure if it was a mistake or just how the currency looked. He completed the payment, hoping for the best. Back home, he contacted his bank and asked for a full refund. But they rejected his request, saying that by entering his PIN, he had agreed to the payment. He took the issue to a Dutch financial complaints group, but they also sided with the bank. He argued the bank should have picked up the strange payment and stopped it. But that idea was also rejected. Experts say the best thing to do is check the number before you pay. If something seems off, don't go through with it. It's better to double check than lose hundreds or thousands of dollars. This story is a tough reminder that one small mistake can really cost you when traveling. Now let's look at our idioms and phrasal verbs. Cost an arm and a leg. This is an idiom which means extremely expensive. Cost an arm and a leg, extremely expensive. That snack cost him an arm and a leg, literally. That snack cost him an arm and a leg. It was extremely expensive. Can you think of something that you bought recently that cost an arm and a leg? It was just expensive. It was not overpriced, it was just very expensive. Cost an arm and a leg. Better safe than sorry. Better safe than sorry is an idiom. That means it's wiser to be cautious than to take a risk. Better safe than sorry. I always double check prices abroad. Better safe than sorry. Better safe than sorry. It's wiser to be cautious than to take a risk. Pick up on something, not pick up something. Pick up on something is a phrasal verb. Pick up on something means to notice or to recognize something unusual. Pick up on something. The bank didn't pick up on the unusual amount. They didn't notice, they didn't recognize this unusual amount. Pick up on, not just pick up. And if you want to know the difference between phrasal verbs like pick up and pick up on, check out our videos on the YouTube channel where we dive into some of these, all right? So the bank didn't pick up on the unusual amount. The bank didn't notice it. The bank didn't recognize it. Then we have go through with something, which is another phrasal verb, go through with. to complete something. Especially even if you are unsure, go through with it. There's this element of reluctance. Go through with something. It's a phrasal verb. He wasn't sure, but still went through with the payment. He wasn't sure, but he still went through with the payment. So to go through with something means to complete something. Don't run and hide just because it's IELTS speaking time. I promise this is going to help you even if you're not taking the test, because IELTS is real world speaking. So what's our prompt for part 2? Describe a time when you or someone you know made a mistake while traveling. See, this is real world. We talk about these things. You should say where it happened, what the mistake was, how you or that person reacted, and what you learned from the mistake or from the experience. Okay. So in IELTS speaking, part 2, these are the prompts, these are the suggestions. Some people want to be very creative and create their own prompts. You only have 1 minute. That, in my opinion, is a waste of time. And I've tutored students all the way to 8.5 for speaking. 9 is really difficult, even for a native English speaker. So with that in mind, what I say to my students is that follow the prompts. It helps you to create a clear, coherent answer. Focus on the vocabulary that you want to learn, that you want to use. So during that 1 minute preparation time, instead of trying to be creative and create your own prompts, just write down the idioms, phrasal verbs that spring to mind. So if you are an IELTS test taker, you can pause the video for 1 minute, set a timer, write down the words and phrases you'd like to use in the answer, and then come back to the model answer. For the rest of us, let's continue. These answers are actually quite short. You need to speak for 2 minutes. This is just skeleton, so feel free to add more details to it. There will be a separate course for IELTS speaking. Ready? Let's do this. Last year, I was in Italy and I bought a train ticket at a machine. I wasn't sure which platform I needed, so I asked someone nearby for help. He looked confident and helped me select the destination. I went through with the purchase, but when I looked closer, I realized I had bought a first-class ticket instead of a regular ticket. It cost me an arm and a leg, almost triple the usual price. I wanted to cancel it, but the machine didn't allow refunds. I later tried to speak to a staff member, but they said it was too late. I realized I should have been more careful. I didn't pick up on the difference between the ticket types. Now, I always double check before buying. Better safe than sorry. Let's just look at some of the IELTS Part 3 questions. And even if you're not a test taker, why don't you challenge yourself to answer them? What types of financial mistakes do people commonly make when traveling? I think the number one mistake would be going to tourist restaurants and overpaying for a meal. That would be a mistake. That's a financial mistake, right? The number one travel mistake, I think, in Europe is not validating your train ticket. Do you have any other ideas? Please do let me know. Number 2, do you think banks should be responsible for stopping suspicious payments? Do you think, in your opinion, what do you think? That's an interesting one. What are your thoughts about it? Number 3, how can tourists avoid being overcharged in foreign countries? Well, that's the million-dollar question. When you have the answer, please let me know. It's very difficult to avoid being overcharged when you're a tourist. You get tourist menus for food with different prices. You get scammed at the markets. You get overcharged pretty much everywhere. I'm not quite sure if this is even possible. Join the conversation. And have you ever had to reject a service or refund request? So maybe you were on the other side of the table, maybe in customer service, maybe you are a salesperson. And have you ever had to reject a service or refund request? So someone puts in a refund request and you had to reject it. You had to say, no, I can't give you a refund. But also, have you ever been in a situation where you tried to get a refund and it was rejected by the company? And what was the reason for the rejection? Why was your refund rejected? Do let me know. And what would you do if you noticed a mistake in a payment after it was too late? So you've already put in your PIN, and the payment has gone through, and you later notice a mistake. Now, maybe I shouldn't be saying this because it does expose me somewhat. But when I'm shopping and I have to tap and pay, I just tap and pay. Even if my PIN is asked for, I simply put in my PIN without looking at the amount because, as you can see, I wear glasses and I don't always have my glasses with me. And maybe on some level, I feel embarrassed to ask the person to read out the number for me, especially in a foreign country. So I just tap and pay. And that's bad. And based on this article, I now realize that I would have no recourse. What does it mean to have no recourse? Well, if I overpaid for something, I couldn't go back to the bank and say, oh, well, I didn't have my glasses on. They don't care. I don't have any recourse. The money would just be gone. So I need to be more careful. By the way, any of you out there wear glasses like I do? Let me know in the comments. Let's shadow some sentences. And these sentences have idioms and phrasal verbs built in. So we're killing two birds with one stone. That means we're doing two things at the same time. All right, two benefits. That one mistake cost him an arm and a leg. That one mistake cost him an arm and a leg. He wasn't sure, but he still went through with the payment. He wasn't sure, but he still went through with the payment. The bank failed to pick up on the mistake in time. The bank failed to pick up on the mistake in time. In fact, the bank failed to pick up on the mistake completely at all, right? It's always better to be safe than sorry when you're using foreign currency. It's always better to be safe than sorry when you're using foreign currency. One more time because that one's long and tricky. It's always better to be safe than sorry when you're using foreign currency. Let's try to put it all back together. It's always better to be safe than sorry when you're using foreign currency. He wanted to cancel, but the system didn't allow it. So he had to go through with it. He wanted to cancel, but the system didn't allow it. So he had to go through with it. Homework, if you're in the mood, your gapful activity, download the PDF, your multiple choice review to reinforce all the learning from today, and then we have a bonus task. Describe a time when you were almost overcharged or scammed while traveling or shopping. What did you do? How did it end? So you were not overcharged, you were not scammed, but you were almost. Look at that single word, almost. It almost happened. It didn't happen. It almost happened. So describe a time when you were almost Overcharged, but saved just in time. So describe a time when you were almost overcharged or scammed while traveling or shopping. What did you do? How did it end? Try to use at least one idiom and one phrasal verb from today's lesson. And kind of practice telling it like a story. Keep it natural, keep it expressive. Say it once, say it twice, say it a third time. So basically, in this lesson, you learned how to talk about travel mistakes, financial problems, and what to do when things go wrong abroad. You used real English expressions, we used a new story, and we also had some fluency practice. See you in Unit 4. We've reached the halfway mark. Unit 4, loading. Well, hey, you are officially halfway through the course. We finished 3 units. Yep, you've completed 3 full units, bridge the gap units, and honestly, that's a big deal. Seriously, take a second, pat yourself on the back or just fist bump the screen. I'm waiting for you. It really is an accomplishment. Because you know what we've done? We've tackled some seriously relevant and modern topics so far, right? We've not only learned some serious vocabulary, idiomatic language, and phrasal verbs, but you've really used them. You've learned how to use them. You now have the confidence to use them. Speaking confidence, that's what it's all about. We've taken it out of our input. I don't want to say textbooks because you guys know that I'm not a fan of those old textbooks, but you've taken it out of the PDF and you've brought it into the real world. You're using it in your interactions. So before we dive into Unit 4, can I ask you for a quick favor? If you have been enjoying the course so far, would you take 20, 30 seconds, maybe a minute at most, and leave a quick review? Your feedback really helps me reach more learners, and it helps you reflect on what you've learned, what you're enjoying, and what could be improved. Honestly, if there's something that you want more of, whether it's worksheets, mini videos, practice quizzes, maybe the shadowing of the blog posts separately, now's the time to tell me. I'm also launching the new Business English Bridge the Gap course, so all of this feedback is really, really relevant. Now, I'm going to make it easy for you. You don't have to overthink it. You can just write these phrases. Loving it so far. Really like the idiomatic language. Or can we get more shadowing audio? Whatever you're saying, I'm all ears. I'm here to make this course and all of our upcoming courses awesome. Would you like an extra worksheet pack with bonus fluency tasks, idioms, maybe a couple more, maybe some quiz-style practices for review? You've already got that in the PDF downloads, but hey, drop me a message, leave me a comment if you are on Udemy, and I'll see what I can do. Maybe I'll do it at the end of this course, so always stay tuned for new uploads. But I will definitely incorporate your suggestions in the Business English course. So, what's coming up? Business English buzzwords and binomials. So, time for a sneak preview. We really are working on a brand new course launching soon. I've been teaching a lot of business English, and the books are archaic. I think the dinosaurs read them. They are so old, 2005. So I'm launching this really modern course, Business English buzzwords, binomials, real world, modern phrases that people actually use in meetings, in deals, in LinkedIn posts. So you learn to use phrases like low-hanging fruit or circle back, quick win, cash cow, back and forth, black and white, and so many more. Not only will you learn them, you'll use them fluently and naturally, but our business English course comes with something extra. There's an online Zoom session. That's an add-on. It's an extra, but for corporate clients, it's perfect. Now, if you would be interested in this, you can just head on over to my group class page on italki. Also, something else I want to know as I'm creating is what level would work best for you. B1, B2, C1? Would you prefer video lessons? Would you prefer group calls? Do you like live workshops? As we're creating, I want to shape this second course around your goals. I want this second business English course to be outstanding. Before we dive into Unit 4, 5, and 6, I just want you to know you're doing amazing, because this isn't just about learning English. It's about owning your voice in real conversations, at work, online, or wherever English takes you. You are owning it. So stay consistent. Keep speaking out loud. Write these phrases on little post-its and stick them all over. And most important, don't be afraid to mess up, because that's where the fluency magic lives. You can be perfect, but not fluent. Or you can mess up and really enjoy the language and be fluent. But you know what's the most important thing? If you're still watching at this point, you're already showing up. That's half the battle. It's also half the course. So see you in Unit 4, because I've got more idioms, I've got deeper fluency, and more brilliance ahead. You've got this. Keep going. And do take a moment to write that review, please. Robots playing soccer. Yes, really. We're heading straight to Beijing, where humanoid robots are battling it out on the pitch. And no, they don't even need a coach yelling from the sidelines. But you know, this lesson is about more than just robot soccer. It's about learning to describe events, to express opinions, to talk about technology, innovation, and competition, like a native English speaker, like a fluent speaker. And guess what? That starts right now. We're diving into our Bridge the Gap, Unit 4. And like I said, there's definitely another course coming. We're going to do our blog, and then we'll do our idioms, pronunciation, shadowing, IELTS speaking part 2 and 3. We've got it all covered here. And there you have it, from AI-powered athletes to robot rivalries. You've officially survived Unit 4 of your full fluency workout. Now, you're not just reading headlines, you're talking about them with real-world English. Binomials, phrasal verbs, idioms, opinions. Boom! I bet before this, you didn't know what a binomial is, right? So, tell me, how did it go? Did you enjoy this session? Well, leave me a comment, leave a review, or just yell, "Goal!" Because we scored with this one, didn't we? The Gap, Unit 4, Robots, Sports, and the Future of Play. Today we're going to talk about robot soccer in Beijing. Is the future of sports already here? We're going to focus on technology in sports, talking about future events, opinions, comparisons. And the skills we're going to cover today are reading, listening, vocabulary, fluency, IELTS style speaking, and I'll say it over and over again. Don't run away when you hear the word IELTS. This is just real English speaking. These are topics that native English speakers talk about, and I'm going to help you talk about it in a clear, coherent, organized way using some amazing vocabulary. We're also going to do some shadowing. So listen to me, listen to my pronunciation, my tone, my intonation, where I pause, and shadow me, repeat after me. Last but not least, we're going to dive into pronunciation. And if there's anything that you would like me to add to the course, maybe you're thinking, hey, Nas, we haven't done any grammar. I really would like some grammar. Well, let me know. Either I'll add it to this course or I'll add it to the upcoming course. I'll do what I can. But for now, are you ready? Let's dive into Robot Soccer, the future of sports. But for now, let's dive into Robot Soccer, the future of sports. If you haven't downloaded the PDF, I suggest that you do. You can make notes, you can highlight as we go along. Where's the stress? Where's the intonation? Maybe you need to write down how you pronounce certain words. So grab that PDF, print it if you can. It's worth it. If you're ready, Robot Soccer, the future of sports. Beijing recently hosted one of the world's most unusual sporting events, a soccer match between humanoid robots. No coaches, no referees, just machines powered by artificial intelligence and high-level programming. 4 teams took part in the event, with 3 robots on each team. The robots were completely autonomous, meaning they played without any human supervision. They used sensors to find the ball, plan strategies, and move across the field. If they fell, they were programmed to stand up on their own. The match was part of a warm-up event for the upcoming World Humanoid Robot Games, set to take place in Beijing this August. Let's do that part again. The match was part of a warm-up event for the upcoming World Humanoid Robot Games, set to take place in Beijing this August. Why am I struggling with this sentence? I'm gobbling it every single time. Let me try one more time. The match was part of a warm-up event for the upcoming World Humanoid Robot Games, set to take place in Beijing this August. Finally got it right. The robots were built by 4 university teams, each creating their own algorithm to control gameplay. Tsinghua University's THU robotics team beat the Mountain Sea team from China Agricultural University with a final score of 5-3. While the gameplay was slower and less dramatic than a human match, it left many spectators impressed and curious about what the future might look like. Hey there, Ronaldo. It looks like it may be game over for you. The CEO of Booster Robotics, the company behind the robot players, said sports are a great way to test the physical limits of humanoid robots. The goal is not to replace athletes, but to see how machines and humans might one day work or play side by side. Earlier this year, robot runners also joined a half marathon in Beijing, finishing far behind the human athletes. But one thing's for sure, robots in sports aren't science fiction anymore. They're already here and getting better all the time. Now, let's do it one more time, and you're going to shadow me. Are you ready? So listen and repeat. Beijing recently hosted one of the world's most unusual sporting events, a soccer match between humanoid robots. No coaches, no referees, just machines powered by artificial intelligence and high-level programming. 4 teams took part in the event, with 3 robots on each team. The robots were completely autonomous, meaning they played without any human supervision. They used sensors to find the ball, plan strategies, and move across the field. If they fell, they were programmed to stand up on their own. The match was part of a warm-up event for the upcoming World Humanoid Robot Games, set to take place in Beijing this August. The robots were built by 4 university teams, each creating their own algorithm to control gameplay. Tsinghua University's THU robotics team beat the Mountain Sea team from China Agricultural University with a final score of 5-3. While the gameplay was slower and less dramatic than a human match, it left many spectators impressed and curious about what the future might look like. The CEO of Booster Robotics, the company behind the robot players, said sports are a great way to test the physical limits of humanoid robots. The goal is not to replace athletes, but to see how machines and humans might one day work or play side by side. Earlier this year, robot runners also joined a half marathon in Beijing, finishing far behind the human athletes. But one thing's for sure, robots in sports aren't science fiction anymore. They're already here and getting better all the time. Push the limits. Teenagers, toddlers, push the limits. Push the limits means to test the boundaries of what is possible. Push the limits. Robot soccer is a way to push the limits of AI technology. Teenagers push the limits. They test the boundaries of what is possible. Ahead of the game, more advanced or prepared than others, ahead of the game. Tsinghua University's team was clearly ahead of the game. Maybe Tesla is ahead of the game? I'm not sure. You can join the conversation. Let me know. Stand up on one's own. So to rise or recover without help, stand up, stand up. So the robots were programmed to stand up on their own. And carry off. Carry off means to remove something or someone from a place, usually gently. Carry off. Think of a rescue team or ambulance workers when they have a patient. Carry off. When a football player is injured on the field, he's carried off. They don't take him and shake him around. He's carried off, removed from a place, usually gently. So let's try to really impress that image into our minds. The image of a football player on the field, injured, being carried off very gently, or rescue workers carry off. So some robots had to be carried off the field by staff. Interesting. And now it's time for IELTS Speaking Part 2. Describe a sports event or competition that was unusual or surprising. You should say what kind of event it was, who was involved, what made it unusual, and explain what people thought about it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Use the prompts. They guide you. They allow you to create clear, coherent, logical answers. If you're an IELTS test taker, pause the video, take a minute to make your notes, create your own answer, record it for 2 minutes, and then come back. If you're not an IELTS test taker, let's dive into the model answer, which is significantly shorter than an IELTS answer, but it does include and incorporate the important vocabulary. Ready? Let's do this. So, last month I watched a video of a soccer match in Beijing. It was part of a robotics competition, and what made it so interesting was that there were no humans on the field, just humanoid robots playing the game using AI. Each team had 3 robots, and they were completely autonomous. They used sensors and algorithms to move, kick, and even try to score goals. Some of them fell over, but tried to stand up on their own. If they couldn't, staff members had to carry them off the field. The event was surprising because it felt like watching the future. It also showed how universities are using sports to push the limits of technology. I think the audience was impressed. One team from Tsinghua University was clearly ahead of the game. They played much better and won the final match. Now, that's not just IELTS speaking too, that's just speaking about a topic. And that's real life. And the IELTS speaking test is informal. It's really a replication of the real world. Here are some additional questions to think about related to this theme. How do you think sports might change in the future with technology? Should robots be allowed to compete with humans in events? What are some advantages and disadvantages of using AI in physical activities? Do you think using AI in sports is just a trend, or is it here to stay? What skills can students learn by designing robots for competition? Interesting questions. Take a moment. Think about it. Try to answer it. These are questions that might pop up in the real world. And if you'd like, you can put your answers in the chat. Go ahead. Now, let's do some shadowing. And shadowing works this way. I'll read the sentence, pause, and you will repeat it. But really, pay attention to more than just pronunciation. Pronunciation is level 1. Think about the tone, the intonation, the emotion, the expression. Robot soccer is one way to push the limits of what machines can do. Robot soccer is one way to push the limits of what machines can do. The Tsinghua team was ahead of the game with their robot design. The Tsinghua team was ahead of the game with their robot design. Some robots fell, but were able to stand up on their own. Some robots fell, but were able to stand up on their own. A few robots couldn't recover and had to be carried off the field. A few robots couldn't recover and had to be carried off the field. This event showed how tech is changing sports, and it's only the beginning. This event showed how tech is changing sports, and it's only the beginning. But we're not done. You know we're not done, because for those of you who kind of missed those textbooks, we've always got a worksheet. There's a gap-full activity and a multiple choice review. For example, what does push the limits mean? Is it A, break the rules, B, test what is possible, C, train harder, or D, make mistakes? I'm pretty sure that after this lesson, you know what it is, right? B, test what is possible. And if a team is ahead of the game, it means they are cheating? I don't think so. They started early? I don't think so. They are more advanced? They are losing? Let's go with C. And what happened when some robots fell? They exploded? I don't think so. They stood up with human help? They were able to stand up alone? or be carried off, or they stopped working immediately? Well, I think it is C. They were able to stand up alone or be carried off. Now, there's always a bonus task for you. For those of you who really want to level up, go ahead and do this. Would you enjoy watching robots compete in sports like soccer or running, maybe even tennis? Why or why not? When you record your answer, use at least one idiom and one phrasal verb from today's lesson. Try to aim for an answer that's 4 to 6 sentences. The second time that you record your answer, focus on tone, focus on clarity, focus on expressing your opinion. Add that emotion. Well then, hey there and welcome back. We are at Bridge the Gap, Unit 5, Disruptive Passengers and Travel. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever been on a flight and there was a really disruptive passenger? Love to know. Let me know in the comments. So today's topic is kicked off a plane, the real cost of bad passenger behavior. And our theme is obviously travel, behavior, rules, and consequences. And our focus is expressing opinions, describing rules and reactions, also discussing behavior in public. The skills that we'll be covering today are your reading skills. We are going to read a blog post as usual, your listening skills, idioms and phrasal verbs. Don't we love them? IELTS speaking fluency, shadowing so that you can master your pronunciation, your tone, and your intonation, and then some vocabulary practice. How does that all sound? Good? All right. So let's dive straight into our blog post. So you can just listen to it, or you can listen and repeat and shadow because I'm going to do it a second time. Ready? All right. The high price of bad behavior on planes. Ryanair, Europe's biggest budget airline, has just introduced a new rule. Passengers who behave badly on flights will now face a fine of at least $580. The airline said disruptive behavior is unacceptable and that other passengers shouldn't have to deal with it. Ryanair is known for its cheap flights, many of which go to destinations popular for nightlife. Unfortunately, some travelers start drinking before the flight, and that's when the problems begin. People have been loud, refused to follow instructions, or even gotten aggressive with staff. One serious case happened earlier this year. A Ryanair flight from Dublin to Lanzarote had to be diverted to Portugal because of a disruptive passenger. The airline later sued the traveler for over $17,000 as all passengers had to stay overnight in Portugal and missed a full day of their holiday. Ryanair's CEO says passengers should be limited to 2 alcoholic drinks before flying, and he's called for stricter rules at airports and on planes. The message is clear: fly responsibly or face the consequences. So next time you're at the airport, remember that one bad decision could cost you a lot more than your ticket. Idiom time and some phrasal verbs too. Face the consequences. Face the consequences. This is idiomatic language. Face the consequences. Face the consequences. Accept the results of bad behavior or your actions. Face the consequences. Face the results. Accept the results. If you break the rules on a plane, you have to face the consequences. Get out of hand. Become difficult to control. Get out of hand. The situation got out of hand after a few passengers started shouting. Get out of hand, become difficult to control. And put up with, very simple, put up with, tolerate. Tolerate or accept something unpleasant. Put up with. Other passengers shouldn't have to put up with this behavior. I'm wondering, what do you put up with in your life? Let's internalize this. Let's bring this into your world. Do you put up with rowdy neighbors? Tell me, what do you put up with? What do you tolerate or accept? Divert a flight. This is to change the direction of a flight. Divert a flight. The flight's going here, and we divert the flight. We change the direction of a flight. So the plane was diverted from its normal course due to a disruptive passenger. Divert a flight. Just because it's IELTS doesn't mean that it's not going to benefit you. So stop running away when you see the word IELTS. Otherwise, I'm going to have to rebrand this part. But it is IELTS and it's real world English. So give it a try. No, do more than give it a try. Come on, enjoy it. Ready? So we've got an IELTS style speaking part 2 question. Oh, describe a time when you experienced or saw someone behaving badly in public. You should say where it happened, what the person did, how others reacted, and what you think about that behavior. And I really, really, really want the answers to this one because I'm just curious and I like a bit of gossip and I want to know who was behaving badly and where it happened and what did the person do. And how did everyone else react? And what was your reaction? Were you shocked or were you just amused? So, if you're an IELTS test taker, then pause the video, take a moment to write down your notes, whatever you're going to talk about, and then record yourself for 2 minutes and then come back to the video. How does that sound? And if you're not an IELTS test taker, well then, we can proceed. A few years ago, I was on a flight from Rome to Berlin. A group of passengers had clearly been drinking before boarding, and things started to get out of hand. One person was singing loudly and refused to stay seated. The flight attendants were patient, but it was stressful for everyone. Eventually, the staff threatened to divert the flight if things didn't calm down. I was shocked by how long they had to put up with the behavior before action was taken. In the end, the flight continued, but I remember thinking that they should have faced a fine. People need to understand that flying is a shared space. If you disturb others, you should face the consequences. That kind of behavior is just unacceptable. Now, if you are an IELTS test taker, this is of particular importance to you. And if you're just someone speaking English, well, these are interesting questions. So let's look at them. What types of behavior are considered unacceptable in public places? Shouting, smoking, talking loudly on your phone, walking around without a shirt? Let me know. Do you think that fines are an effective way to stop bad behavior while flying? And why do some people act differently in airports or on planes? Is it because they think no one knows them? It's anonymity, so they can do whatever they want? I want to know your thoughts. How much responsibility should airlines have for passenger behavior? And have you ever had to put up with bad behavior during travel? For me, it's often people cutting the queue as if they cannot see all the people who've been waiting there long before they arrived. And to be quite honest, this seems to be cultural. It happens in certain cultures. So cutting the queue, I would say, and people talking really loudly on their phones, not using headphones or AirPods, or just turning the speaker on and then shouting into their phone while you are in the queue for passport control, which I think is ridiculous. You are in a public place. But I'd love to know, have you ever had to put up with bad behavior during travel? Now it's time for some shadowing. If you act out on a plane, you'll have to face the consequences. If you act out on a plane, you'll have to face the consequences. The situation really got out of hand after they started drinking. The situation really got out of hand after they started drinking. Why should everyone else have to put up with your bad decisions? Why should everyone else have to put up with your bad decisions? That flight was diverted because of one disruptive passenger. That flight was diverted because of one disruptive passenger. Being loud and aggressive in public is completely unacceptable. Being loud and aggressive in public is completely unacceptable. And this unit does not stop here. For those of you who like a little extra, we've got the gapful activity and the multiple choice review. And in case you missed it, there's a full level test quiz at the beginning of the course. If you haven't taken it, please take a moment to give it a shot. And I really do want feedback. Do you prefer to have the videos in different segments? Because we are going to be doing more courses and we want to master it and perfect it based on what you guys out there want. Do I have anything else that I need you to do for this lesson? Let's check. You have a bonus task. So you are a flight attendant dealing with a disruptive passenger, and student B, you are the passenger being warned. Now, because we're not doing this in a classroom, unless, of course, you are joining my group classes, well, you're going to have to find someone who speaks English and share this PDF with them. And you guys are going to have to role play this. It allows you to speak like you would in the real world. Now, what you should do is do the role play and then switch roles. Okay, so I want you both to have the opportunity to be the passenger who's being warned, because how do you react to it? And if you'd like to write the script and send it to me, I would be happy to look it over. But I do have something that I want you to do when you are doing this. Use the idioms and the phrasal verbs from today's lesson. And when you're doing the role play, so you could record it if you want and send it as a voice file. Focus on the tone, focus on the clarity, and also trying to keep calm under pressure. And on that note, I think we're about to dive into Unit 6, the final one for Course 1. It gives me great joy to say that, because this is only Course 1. We're definitely going to do Course 2 and maybe even 3, and the Business English course 100%. And if you are a corporate student out there, you can join these courses. You just sign up for the course and you just dive in. If you want more information, do send me a message. Also, sign up for the mailing list. Just go over to lingonas.com and subscribe, and you'll get all the information you need about everything that's happening. Also, you might get some of those coupons for free courses in the future. I do give away about 100 free courses each time I launch one. So if you sign up fast enough, you might be one of the lucky ones. Thanks for joining me. See you in Unit 6. As I'm creating this course, I'm learning. I'm going to actually segment the different parts of the unit into different videos. I think that will give you guys more control over what you want to do and what you don't want to do. So this part is the shadowing. Some of you may not want it. I will label it clearly so you can use it, disregard it, whatever you like. So how do we do the shadowing? I will read the sentence. You will listen, but not just listen passively. Listen to the pronunciation, listen to the tone, listen to the intonation, listen to the emotion, listen to when I pause. And then you're going to repeat after me. Sound good? All right, let's do this. The high price of bad behavior on planes. Ryanair, Europe's biggest budget airline, has just introduced a new rule. Passengers who behave badly on flights will now face a fine of at least $580. The airline says disruptive behavior is unacceptable and that other passengers shouldn't have to deal with it. Ryanair is known for its cheap flights, many of which go to destinations popular for nightlife. Unfortunately, some travelers start drinking before the flight, and that's when problems begin. People have been loud, refused to follow instructions, or even gotten aggressive with staff. One serious case happened earlier this year. A Ryanair flight from Dublin to Lanzarote had to be diverted to Portugal because of a disruptive passenger. The airline later sued the traveler for over $17,000, as all passengers had to stay overnight in Portugal and missed a full day of their holiday. Ryanair CEO says passengers should be limited to 2 alcoholic drinks before flying. And he's called for stricter rules at airports and on planes. The message is clear. Fly responsibly or face the consequences. So next time you're at the airport, remember that one bad decision could cost you a lot more than your ticket. Well, hey there, welcome to our Bridge the Gap Real World English course, Unit 6, Course 1, the final chapter for Course 1. I hope you are enjoying it. Could you please take a moment to leave a review? Really, really appreciate that. And what are we diving into in Unit 6? Social media and children's welfare. And the title of this unit is It Time to Ban Social Media for Kids? Our theme is technology, health, education, and child development. In this unit, you are going to learn how to express opinions about social issues, discuss health and digital habits. Like I said, we are leaving the textbooks to the dinosaurs and we're diving into real-world modern English. Some of the skills we cover in our Bridge the Gap course, every single unit, it's reading. And I read aloud so you practice your listening skills. There's idiomatic language related to the theme, phrasal verbs. And we do have the IELTS speaking fluency segment, and don't discount it because it's based on what happens in the real world. Then we have shadowing and discussions. I want you to reflect, and there's always a little bit of homework for you. There's a fun little worksheet, but there's also a little homework for you. Now, if you're ready, let's dive into our reading. The first time we're going to do a straightforward reading. The second time, it's going to be a shadowing where you listen and repeat. So I'll say the sentence and then I'll pause, give you time to repeat. But first time, we're going to just do the reading. Ready? Is it time to ban social media for kids? The Dutch government has released new recommendations urging parents to keep children under 15 off social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram. The reason? Growing concerns about the psychological and physical effects of screen time. Although most platforms say users must be at least 13, experts believe that even old children are being harmed by addictive design, constant scrolling, and poor sleep from screen overuse. Parents are being encouraged to create healthier tech habits, no phones in bedrooms, regular outdoor activity, and time limits for screen use. The advice isn't a law yet, but it's part of a wider conversation happening around the world. Last year, Australia banned social media use for anyone under 16. And countries like Denmark and France are thinking about doing the same. In the Netherlands, the Ministry of Health is distinguishing between social media platforms and basic messaging apps like WhatsApp, saying the more addictive nature of platforms like TikTok is especially harmful for developing minds. Recently, over 1,400 doctors and welfare experts signed a letter asking the government to go further, to ban smartphones under age 14 and delay social media use until 16. Even Queen Maxima has weighed in. She said her own daughter developed vision problems from too much screen time. The debate is growing. Are we protecting kids or overreacting? Either way, the conversation around children, tech, and mental health is far from over. Okay, let's dive into our idiom and phrasal verbs table. It's vocabulary booster time. So first up, draw the line. Draw the line. Set a limit on what's acceptable. Draw the line. Draw the line. Set a limit on what's acceptable. Many parents aren't sure where to draw the line with screen time. It's true, many parents aren't sure where to draw the line, where to set a limit on what's acceptable with screen time. Spiral out of control. To become unmanageable or worse over time. Spiral out of control. Too much screen time can easily spiral out of control because screen time starts with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, and then it becomes 3 hours, even for adults. Spiral out of control to become unmanageable or worse over time. What else can spiral out of control? A relationship, constant arguments, maybe someone's behavior, maybe his drug usage spiraling out of control. And to be quite honest, there are times when I watch Elon Musk and I feel like he is spiraling out of control. Now it's time for a phrasal verb, cut down on. Very simple. Cut down on, reduce. Cut down on. Cut down on, to reduce the amount of something. So doctors recommend that children cut down on daily screen time. If you are diabetic or you sometimes have high blood sugar levels, glucose levels, well, then you need to cut down on chocolates. Okay, it's always a good idea to cut down on alcohol. All right, so cut down on, to reduce the amount of something. Weigh in on something, to give your opinion in a discussion. Weigh in on something. So here, even the Queen decided to weigh in on the issue. She decided to give her opinion as this discussion was going on. Weigh in on something, give your opinion. So how could you use this in the real world? Let's internalize this one a little bit, right? So I'm saying something, there's a discussion going on, and you are being very quiet. I could say, would you like to weigh in on this? Please weigh in on this. I want to know your opinion. Weigh in on something. To be honest, I think this is one of my favorite phrases from this course, and I'd love to know which was your favorite phrase. So to weigh in on something means to give your opinion in a discussion. I could be completely wrong, but I get the feeling that when you guys see IELTS speaking part two, you just run away because you think maybe this has got nothing to do with me. This is a waste of my time. But no, no. IELTS speaking is an informal test. It's about what native speakers talk about all the time. And candidates are assessed according to native English speaker levels. So it's very informal and it's very real. So please stay tuned, or I'm simply going to rebrand it, even though it's IELTS, and then I'm going to confuse you. And you will be getting this in all the courses because it's great. It's real, right? So just give it a try. So in this one, we're going to talk about describe a time when you or someone you know had to reduce screen time. And you should say who it was, why the decision was made, what was done to cut down on screen time, and how it affected that person's lifestyle, or if it was you, how it affected your lifestyle. If you're an IELTS test taker, you know what to do at this point. Pause the video, take a moment, take a minute to write down your notes, record your answer, and then come back to the model answer. But for those of you who are just watching this for fun and for learning, let's dive into the model answer. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The model answers are actually quite short compared to what the IELTS speaking answers are. Having said that, I just want to incorporate the language in a clear, clean, coherent manner. So I don't want the model answers to be excessively long because I want the meaning to come through very clearly. Ready? A few months ago, my younger cousin was spending way too much time on her phone, mostly watching TikTok and playing mobile games. Her grades started dropping, and she often complained about headaches and eye strain. Her parents decided to draw the line. They took her phone away after 8 p.m., encouraged more outdoor time, and made her use a basic phone with no social media apps. At first, she was upset, but slowly things got better. She started reading again, sleeping more, and even her mood improved. It showed me how quickly things can spiral out of control with screens. Sometimes you need someone to help you cut down and take a break. And here we have some part 3 questions. These are discussion questions, not just for IELTS, but maybe you're hanging around with your friends and a discussion starts about social media usage. And someone might say, do you think social media is harmful or helpful for children and teens? What are your thoughts? Is it helpful in terms of research or staying up to date? I mean, we do live in a very fast world where everything's evolving. Is social media on some level helpful? It's such a lovely discussion to have, but it's even nicer when you've already practiced it. So you already have the tools, the vocabulary to talk about it confidently, which is why I really think you guys should attempt these questions. What responsibilities do parents have when it comes to screen time? And very often the answer is it depends. It depends on the age of the child, right? So let me know your thoughts. And should governments draw the line and create laws about screen use? Should governments really get involved? And how has social media changed the way children interact with each other? Do they actually talk face to face? Do they actually go outdoors and climb a tree and play in the mud? Let me know. And do you think children should be taught digital wellness at school? Should it be one of the subjects, digital wellness? I think it should. I'd love to know your thoughts. Now it's time for some shadowing. All right. So listen and repeat. At some point, we need to draw the line when it comes to screen time. At some point, we need to draw the line when it comes to screen time. Let's try it for a third time, and this time with a little more emotion. In fact, exaggerate the emotion. Let's see how that goes. At some point, we need to draw the line when it comes to screen time. Her social media use started to spiral out of control last year. Her social media use started to spiral out of control last year. We need to cut down on screen time and focus on outdoor activities. We need to cut down on screen time and focus on outdoor activities. The Queen even weighed in on the issue of mobile phone use in teens. The Queen even weighed in on the issue of mobile phone use in teens. I don't know why, but for some reason this sentence sounds tricky. Do you want to try it one more time? All right. The Queen even weighed in on the issue of mobile phone use in teens. More countries are now setting limits to protect children's welfare. More countries are now setting limits to protect children's welfare. And if I was speaking, there would be less pause, okay? So most countries are now setting limits to protect children's welfare. You could rewind this part and shadow it again. And as we wrap up Unit 6, we've still got a gap-fill activity, a multiple choice review. And if you want more activities in the upcoming course, or you'd like me to add something to this course, please feel free, weigh in. I'm all ears. Weigh in. And before you go, we do have a task. Okay, so if you're joining my group classes, these are some of the tasks that we would be able to do together. But since you are taking the online course at this point, you need to find a friend and do task A and task B. So task B is very interesting because now we've gotten to the end of course 1 and you should be able to engage in a mini debate. And the statement is social media does more harm than good for children. And you've got yourself and someone else. One is for it, one is against it. You're going to use today's vocabulary in your arguments. And before you start the debate, I would go back to the reading, to the blog. I would listen to it again because it's full of great ideas. You don't need to generate your own ideas. Just take the ideas and focus on the English use. And so here we are at the end of Course 1, Unit 6. But there's definitely going to be a Course 2 and a Course 3. And maybe someday I'll be sitting here saying, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of Course 10. That would be amazing. Now, if you haven't already done so, please head on over to lingonest.com and subscribe because for upcoming courses, I do give coupons. There are some free giveaways, and why shouldn't you benefit from it? So go ahead, join our mailing list. It's actually English boosters every week, so it's great value anyway. And like I said, once you are there, if you have any suggestions, you have any questions, feel free to email. I will try to respond to every email. I really will. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the end of Course 1, Unit 6. But there's a little outro video with some tips that you really do need to watch. So go and check that out. Shadow me. Listen and repeat. Pay attention to the tone, the intonation, the emotion, the pauses. Ready? Is it time to ban social media for kids? The Dutch government has released new recommendations urging parents to keep children under 15 off social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram. The reason? Growing concerns about the psychological and physical effects of screen time. Although most platforms say users must be at least 13, experts believe that even older children are being harmed by addictive design, constant scrolling, and poor sleep from screen overuse. Parents are being encouraged to create healthier tech habits. No phones in bedrooms, regular outdoor activity, and time limits for screen use. The advice isn't a law yet, but it's part of a wider conversation happening around the world. Last year, Australia banned social media use for anyone under 16. And countries like Denmark and France are thinking about doing the same. In the Netherlands, the Ministry of Health is distinguishing between social media platforms and basic messaging apps like WhatsApp, saying the more addictive nature of platforms like TikTok is especially harmful for developing minds. Recently, over 1,400 doctors and welfare experts signed a letter asking the government to go further, to ban smartphones under age 14 and delay social media use until 16. Even Queen Maxima has weighed in. She said her own daughter developed vision problems from too much screen time. The debate is growing. Are we protecting kids or overreacting? Either way, the conversation around children, tech, and mental health is far from over. If you have a problem with pronunciation, tone, and intonation, then watch the segment again. And if you like this new format of different mini videos, then do let me know, and I will take that into account when creating the Bridge the Gap Business English course. And thank you in advance for your feedback. Deep breath and let it all out. You did it. We did it. But we're just getting started. What on earth am I talking about? Well, do you really think this is the end? I mean, hey, look at you. You made it to the end of this course, and not just any course. You completed a fluency-focused, real-world, no textbook English course that's actually designed for the way people speak today in the real world. Let's count down all the things you have achieved. You've learned how to talk about real issues, remote work and AI and travel, all kinds of things. You've mastered idioms, you've mastered phrasal verbs, you've mastered modern language, the kind that you see on the internet, you hear on Netflix, not the stuff that you read in books that are hundreds of years old. And you've closed the gap between understanding English and using it with real confidence. And that's huge. That's huge. Please don't underestimate how big that is. It's huge. And that's exactly why this course exists. It's to bridge the gap, to take language out of textbooks or out of lectures and really bring it into your world. So why am I doing this? Because I believe in this method 100%. And the world is evolving so fast. We don't have time for dry grammar drills and made-up dialogues about penguins and plane tickets and silly role plays. We need to speak clearly, naturally, confidently about what's really happening around us, about robots playing soccer, about passengers getting drunk on a Ryanair flight. And that's why I said we are just getting started, because the world is evolving and we're going to keep upgrading. So what's next? Well, I think that we'll be launching 2 or 3 of these Bridge the Gap courses every year, plus a full business English course, because I've spent a lot of time working on business English. And to be honest with you, the material is dry, it's boring, it needs an upgrade. And our course will be loaded with fluency, with strategy, with business buzzwords, with leadership language. If you're not on my mailing list, please sign up, because you know, you do get first dibs on the free spots, and you also get a couple coupons. There are a couple people who are going to get the course free. So how do you sign up? Head on over to lingonas.com and join our mailing list. And if you want more speaking practice, well, let's be honest, you don't really need a textbook or a classroom anymore, but if you want to build fluency, if you want to build confidence, and you want to actually use the language out loud, then I do offer a few small group sessions where you can speak, where you can practice, where you can interact with others. And we will use the material from this course. But if you buy the course on its own, then you get this one free. So honestly, it's a win-win, and it's a great chance to show off all that fantastic vocabulary and the phrases that you've picked up in this course. I mean, if I were you, I would want to show off, right? So if you are now ready to go from, I understand, I really understand you, Nas, to, hey, watch me speak like a native, come and join my group classes. But before I go, and I really don't want this to end, I have 3 top fluency tips to keep you going strong. The first one is speak out loud every day, even if it's for 5 minutes, shadowing, reading aloud, talking to yourself while making coffee or matcha, whatever it is you love. Fluency is a muscle. You've got to use it. The next one is use what you learn in context. So don't just learn the words, use them in a comment, use them in a journal, use them in a WhatsApp voice note, because fluency lives in application. Fluency grows with usage. Comment on social media, but use it. And the third one, is it the last one, is stay curious. Listen to podcasts. I've got lots of videos up there. They're great podcasts. Listen to them, read newspaper headlines, watch short clips, and then say, well, could I explain this in English? And if yes, bravo, amazing. And if no, well, that's your next lesson. Try to explain it in English. Push yourself. Now, if you are still here at the end, well then, phew, you've really shown up. You've done the work. Now, keep showing up in the real world. It's not over. Keep speaking. Keep growing. This isn't the end. This is the launch pad. And you know what? If you are here until the end, then you're the kind of person that I really want in the next course, because you are going places. So until then, until the next course, well, stay bold, stay curious, and hey, keep speaking up. Keep speaking up. You can. You've really got this. I'm Nas, and to be very honest with you, it's been an absolute pleasure joining you on this journey. Thanks. Ciao.